Okay, I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Budget and Finance Committee of the Bridgewater Town Council. I'm going to start with an approval of minutes. We have three meeting minutes to approve. So we'll start with January 5th, 2026 meeting. I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve.
I'll second, I guess. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll do the same thing. January 20th, 2026 meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And the last one, February 9th, 2026.
Motion made.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Next, we'll move on to C, public comment. So I know we have a lot of folks in the room, so we'll just take a quick raise of hands if you'd like to make a public comment, and I'll try to go around the room as fast as possible. I saw these folks in the corner sitting down if you want to go first. I saw your hand raised.
Hi, good evening, everyone. We often hear the phrase, freedom isn't free. We say it to acknowledge the immense sacrifices.
You name and address for the record.
Oh, sorry. I'm Jonathan Algarin, 19 Heather Lane. We acknowledge these immense sacrifices made by our veterans, the missed birthdays, the physical toll, the heavy burden of standing on the front lines of our country. But if we truly believe these words, we must ensure that when our heroes return home, they aren't burdened by any different kind of weight, unnecessary financial strain. Reducing taxes for veterans isn't just a thank you or a nice gesture. It's a matter of fundamental fairness and economic common sense. For one, economic reinvestment. When we put money back in pockets of veterans, they don't sit on it. They start small businesses. They buy homes, invest in local communities. They remain the backbone of our economy just as they were in our defense. Dignity in retirement. Many veterans live on fixed incomes and cost of living rises. Tax relief ensures that those who serve can afford healthcare, housing, a dignified quality of life without choosing between a meal and a utility bill. We made a promise to those who wore the uniform that our promise wasn't just for the duration of the service, it was for the duration of their lives. By advocating for veterans' property tax exemption, we are telling our heroes that we value their peace of mind as much as we value their protection. Let's stop treating veteran support as an optional line item in a budget. Let's treat it as a debt of honor. By reducing their taxes, we aren't just giving them a break, we're giving them respect they earned through sweat, blood, and years away from home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stick with the veterans.
My name is Sean Murphy. I'm the chair of the Veterans Council and also a Bridgewater resident of Bayberry Circle. John forgot to mention that what we're here for is because I think Councilwoman already proposed and adopted the ordinance of 22J of the HERO Act. We're here to support that. I myself am a veteran, but I don't have a disability rating. I'm not here for myself. I'm here for all my brothers and sisters who do have disability ratings. So last week myself, Reno, and Greg were up here talking about the Vietnam Memorial that we have the rededication for the end of the month. Reno got up and spoke about his experience coming back to Vietnam. One of the things that stood out to me is that, sorry, when Reno came back, he was told by his command not to go out and, not to go out in any uniform or anything that tied into the military. That's happening today. The Navy, I need some water on these things. So the Navy has submitted to all sailors and Marines not to wear anything connected to them to the military out in town because they don't want to get harassed. I don't want history to repeat itself. Even though this is a tax break for a very few veterans, it's also a message saying, hey, look, Bridgewater's not going to forget. Bridgewater thanks you for your service, and Bridgewater's here to support you. So I'm asking you to favorably put this forward to the council, and I hope the council votes on it. Thank you.
Any other folks in the group would like that?
John Savageau, 165 Prattell Lane. So I'm here to speak in support of 22J, the adoption of the 22J for the HERO Act for the tax exemption. I myself, I'm one of probably, I think it's about 60 or so veterans who would qualify for the higher end of that tax exemption. So there's probably a little bit of bias in there on my part. But we once signed a blank check to the government of the United States, putting our lives on the line when we went and we fought for this great country. And we were told in exchange for our service, we'd be taken care of. The VA for veterans to achieve a VA disability, it's not like that. It's a long, drawn out process that took me 15 years to get the recognition of the disabilities that I have through doctor's appointments, years of going to doctor's appointments, different tests, things like that. And when we talk about this at the town of Bridgewater, we're talking about less than 0.5% of veterans or the population of Bridgewater. We're talking, I think the last meeting, March 2nd, said there's 139 veterans in the town of Bridgewater that qualify for an exemption either through 22 or 22E. So it's 9%, 9.5% of veterans qualify in the town of Bridgewater, and it's 0.48% of the entire population of the town of Bridgewater, according to 2024 census. So I wanted to come here and show support from my fellow veterans, and urge this committee to approve and adopt 22J. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name's Timothy Trocchio, 16 Cassidy Place. I was in Afghanistan in 2019. I served as an intel officer. Not a day goes by where I don't think of being away from home, and I don't think of some of the things I experienced there. I know a lot of veterans, it's very difficult for us to ask for any sort of assistance. It's tough because veterans are people that push through. They always push through. They always drive on. They always try to attack a challenge. I think this is something that everyone should be able to get behind, regardless of kind of where you land on any sort of spectrum. I'd like to thank the president for just helping to usher this forward. And, I think this is very, very important. To me, it's a debt. When you go into the service, you quite frankly don't know when you're going to come home. And ultimately, I think Bridgewater loves its veterans. I think let's show that love. So thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve Ferris, Brownfield Drive. I'm not going to believe what has been said. What's true is true. I'm a Vietnam Desert Storm vet. It took me 50 years to get a little kickback of the medical things I've gone through throughout my life. And I stayed away from the VA for a long period of time for a multitude of reasons, right? And most of the Vietnam vets that I know, they walk around with their head down. They don't want to be recognized. I make it a point that I want to be recognized. I want to spread the word of not only what we did, but I want other veterans of Vietnam or Desert Storm to acknowledge I'm here, and I want them to acknowledge they're here. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Joel Thomas, 25 Alberta Road. These are all my brothers. I've never served overseas, so I don't even think of this. This isn't me. But one thing I saw my dad was after he passed away in 24, he had written a story at the VA when he was hospitalized there, and we didn't see it. They gave it to us right before he passed. He was a Vietnam vet. He took a piece of shrapnel to his head. Renewal testified that he sat there. They pulled it out in the field. He wrapped his shirt around and he drove on. So never once did he claim anything. He got very minimal VA benefits. It wasn't somebody like Greg to help him at that time. So he sat there. I actually pointed to his office, but he did all this. And never once did he ask for anything from the country. So you can ask so many people here, how many veterans are like that? they never said there was anything wrong with him or anything like that. And just, it's a people that don't want to talk about what really happened that we want. Craig Martin's out there doing a great job trying to bring it out. And it's something that we can give back to these guys that never got anything they deserved. So thank you very much.
Thanks. Just so everybody knows, I'm a counselor, but I'm not on this committee. That's why I didn't vote. My dad was a proud U.S. Army veteran. He served in World War II. Never talked about his service. That was the generation that just did what they needed to do and didn't want to talk about it. He liberated his uncle from the 9th concentration camp he was in. That's his wedding ring. Anyway, this is the least we can do for our veterans in this town. I think everything that you guys have all done, anything that the veterans, the people are doing now with what's going on in the world, we need to respect that. I think it's just a token of money. I know money's tight, but I think it's important. So, thank you.
Not 80 Austin Street. I'm also a Vietnam era vet. I support this totally. I got called names, even though I never went overseas. I was an MP in duty downtown, Class A's. You guys know what I'm talking about. Got called some nasty names at the house I lived, apartment I lived in. So I support that, but I'm standing here. If anybody down there wants to say more, I've got a couple of different directions I want to speak to. Thank you. You have on your agenda order 26052 CPA additional funds restoration of Parthenon trees. What I wanted to make very clear, when we put the Parthenon, the freezes that are in the downstairs, when we put those up, we had some last minute changes that caused the cost to go up. Because the invoices came in and the town is required by law to pay the invoices, we paid it. They took it from a reserve account. What this is doing is simply replacing the funds from the CPA back into the reserve account so that those monies can be used for other important factors. That's number one. Number two, just a quick brief. As you know, we had submitted an application for funds for the cemetery restorations. We've had some conversations. We went out for quotes. We got quotes back, and today I had a conversation with one of those people. And I just wanted to let you guys know that the quote came back much higher than we had proposed. And we're now going through the process of downsizing the scope, and we'll probably be going out for a bid on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
You start.
Anyone?
Just don't want to lose track of who's speaking. I was gonna go this way around.
So good evening, my name is Matt Lance. I live at 139 Cherry Street. I'm coming here today for the school budget that's on the agenda for tonight. And just my concerns with the initial numbers that was presented at a school committee meeting where Bridgewater Rams contribution to the 26-27 budget. The initial budget presented by Mr. Powers called for Bridgewater to increase contribution from FY26 of about 28 million to FY27 to 30 million. In the town manager's report to the superintendent, the preliminary looking to increase the contribution by only 2.5% or to about 29 million. With this increase and a decrease of 7% of Chapter 7.1 funding of approximately $198,000, that would really leave the Bridgewater Rams School District with a huge deficit of about $1 million for the initial budget proposed by Superintendent Powers. With those statistics, we would, not be reducing class sizes by restoring the 10 positions in the preliminary budget that I voted against because I believe we need more teachers. I believe we need an additional 1.2 million on that to restore 20 positions or so. We would possibly be losing positions by causing class size across the district to be increased in the mid-30s. I urge you to fund the school budget to at least the 30 million that Superintendent Powers presented to help alleviate some classroom sizes. I would like to add 1.2 million to that, or encourage you to commit to the initial town manager's budget forecasted dated January 30th with the following allocation: school operating and debt service budget 300, BR Regional School District for $36 million. That would actually help us a great deal. I saw that on the town manager's report. So please consider these in the preliminary budget findings for you to approve, and please support our school district.
Good evening. My name is Olivia Bromley, and I'm a sophomore at Bridgewater Rainham Regional High School. I'm here tonight as a student who cares about my education and the opportunities available to all high school students. I'm concerned about the number of classes we're losing and the real risk that our school's accreditation could be impacted if budget cuts continue. Students are not happy. Our school has lost more than 40 electives, and many students have 2 study halls because there just aren't enough classes available. Right now, our high school is on the radar with the New England Association of Schools and Colleges. NEAS is in charge of accreditations. Because of continued budget cuts, they're concerned with our larger class sizes, fewer teachers, reduced guidance support, and fewer extracurricular opportunities. That should concern all of us. A high school without accreditation is of no value to the town. Bridgewater Rainham ranks 384th out of 395 districts in Massachusetts student spending, putting us at the very bottom of the state. As students, it feels like our education isn't being valued the way it should be. We deserve strong classes, electives, and opportunities to explore our interests, just like every other student in Massachusetts. Approving anything less than this proposed budget would be really unfair and discouraging to all of us who go to the school and care about our learning. The proposed budget of $107,730,227.43 would restore just 4 high school teaching positions, but will move us in the right direction, helping us reduce class sizes and bring back some courses, directly addressing the concerns NEAS raised. As students, we're asking you to approve this budget so our school can simply meet the standards expected of accredited schools and give us the education we deserve. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lee Calaporis. I live at 721 R Pleasant Street, and I am here to speak as a concerned parent. We moved to Bridgewater in 2018. We have a son who's a freshman at the high school, and my daughter is here. She's in 5th grade. And they have had a very positive experience. There are some wonderful teachers in this district. But as we know, last year our district suffered great losses due to the deficit. Many positions were cut and courses were eliminated. I'm here to tell you that the schools are feeling these adverse effects. My son, as I said, is a freshman. His history teacher called myself and many other parents at the beginning of the year. She was having trouble trying to stay on track with the curriculum because there were 35 freshmen in her class, in the class that my son's in. There are less than 35 people in this room. I want you to now picture tall, gangly, mop head 9th graders and picture a room of them. And now picture you have to go through a rigorous curriculum while they're raising hands, while they're talking to each other. And this teacher reached out and said, the kids, they're just being kids, but I need your support as parents because I can't get my job done. This situation sets both students and teachers up for failure. I am an educator in another district. I also teach high school. And when our classes become unmanageable, we have more discipline issues. We cannot cover the curriculum effectively. The paper load becomes unmanageable. I'm an English teacher. So if I have 130 students, that's 130 essays, and we're supposed to do, 2 per term. So do the math. There's only so many hours in the day. When we are that burdened, something has to give. Either we don't give as much work or we can't give the feedback that we would like to give. Students are not getting the individualized attention that they deserve. I know Bridgewater Rainham is on warning with NEASC. This indicates that there are severe cracks in the foundation of this district. It is not the fault of the teachers, but if we don't remedy these issues now, the cracks are going to get worse. Our district ranks as the 6th lowest district in the state in per pupil funding. A colleague of mine once said that as teachers, we are expected, and excuse my language, to turn shit into gold. We are given the basics, the very basic materials, and expected to inspire, to help, to guide. And the thing is, most of the time we rise to that occasion. We do this. And I see this with the teachers in Bridgewater. But it can only last for so long. Something has to give. Teachers cannot continue to work in these conditions. They deserve better. Our students deserve better. So I implore you, please fund our schools appropriately. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Laurie Cullen, 50 Old Willis Farm Road, Bridgewater, Mass. Tonight I want to talk to you about something many of us do when faced with difficult realities. We cope through avoidance. We convince ourselves things are fine because it's easier than confronting what we know isn't working. For a long time, one of my goals as a teacher was simple. I wanted to work in the school district my own children live. A few years ago, during years 17 to 19 of my teaching career, I took that opportunity. When I arrived here in BR, I found incredible students, some in this room right now, and some of the best teachers I've ever worked with. At the building level, I was given full support and the chance to bring my experience from curriculum launches at the White House to collaborations with Code.org and Adobe directly to our students here in the BR district. But at the higher level, decisions were made and my classes were climbing to 35 and 36. I began to feel less like an educator, preparing students for the future, and more like someone just trying to manage a room. It was that shift that actually led me to questioning if education was for me at all after 21 years. I have since returned to the district I taught at 12 years prior, a place that welcomed me back with open arms. There, I can teach the way I was trained to teach. I teach in class sizes way under 30. I provide meaningful feedback in a timely manner and put support in places after analyzing formative assessment data from a manageable number of students. I can do right by my students again. But this isn't about me. I have tremendous respect for the teachers who are still here, doing incredible work and contributing to show up to their students despite the challenges. Oh, I just hosted a whole gallery and I did so much better. I truly love this community and I feel a responsibility to speak on behalf of those teachers who may not feel comfortable sharing the reality of the setting that they're teaching in. Having been in these classrooms and now seeing them from the outside again, I've witnessed how easy it is for even the most caring parents to convince themselves everything is fine. You drop your child off in the morning, teachers are smiling, your child comes home, fine, and you tell yourself everything must be okay. I even caught myself doing that recently when my son was accepted into private school, asking, is it really worth the sacrifices our family is about to make right now? But I knew that leaning into avoidance would be doing a disservice not just to my own family, but to my years of experience in education. Last year, I suggested we get creative, adjusting the high school schedule to allow part-time teaching roles without full-time benefits. The response was we didn't have time to make that change right now. A year later, we still haven't seriously explored either more funding or creative solutions. As a teacher, a parent, and someone who loves this community, I'm speaking directly to you, the captains elected to steer this district on behalf of our children. Take this as a red flag. I walked into this district full of hope, and I walked out. Not from lack of trying or caring, but because the ship was sinking, while those at the helm watched the water continue to leak out. This is your movement, your moment to acknowledge these warnings, because you have been avoiding them for far too long, and I urge you to be the one to face the reality we know exists and find the courage to meet that storm head on. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, there is another public comment period at the end of the meeting. Oh, yes.
So just, I'm Pat Driscoll, I'm on the planning board, but like a lot of you, I have, 4 kids in the schools. You know, we talk about economic development. People aren't gonna move to this town if we don't invest in the schools. People aren't gonna go to restaurants. You know, we have to invest in the schools. So anything you guys can do, you know, would be helpful and appreciated.
Thank you.
was just gonna say, there's another public comment period at the end of the meeting as well, so if folks would like to speak then, they're more than welcome to. If we get there. We do have a sharp cutoff at 7 because of the town council meeting, but we'll move on. Legislation referred. So the first order is the general ordinance DFY 25020, adoption of clause 22J of Massachusetts General Laws, chapter 59, section 5, HERO Act.
We've talked about this a couple times, Paul. I mean, I don't know if your committee has anything further to ask, or maybe you just jump back in, because I know Shelley presented to you guys a couple times.
I was just interested in the final numbers that have come out of our assessor's office, if we have them, as to the cost it would have as an impact to the budget.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, sorry, Shelley.
These busy folks don't work, Shelley. They asked.
That's what I was trying to figure out, without anything in front of me, what it would have cost each taxpayer.
Oh.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
The question would be the total burden to the budget if we were to adopt it 100%, which is, of course, in a perfect world, that would be the goal. That's what I pushed for, last year. And we have a very difficult budget cycle now. So maybe there's a potential for a tiered approach, which is what other communities have done. And then, sorry, I had asked you a question and now I'm talking too much, but I did want to bring some numbers to the table for everybody listening that Mr. Sean Murphy brought to our attention. Communities in our area, East Bridgewater, Middleborough, Lakeville, Rockland, Abington, Taunton, Hanover, all adopted at 100%. And West Bridgewater recently adopted at 25% with supplemental increases over 4 years, fully funded at 100%. So I'd want everybody to know where our neighboring communities are at, because I think that we should be competing to have veterans live here in our community because of the incredibly positive economic impact they have, because veterans do invest more in their communities that they live in. So I wanted that for those people that didn't know that information, just to offer that. And then back to the question, the tax liability or the absence of our ability to collect on those exemptions.
Okay, so if we had accepted this last year, it would have added $99,100 to the budget at 100%. And then that would have translated to 2 cents on the tax rate. So it would have been 12.05 instead of 12.03. So I think what is that? Probably, I was just trying to figure out about 11 cents per household. 11 cents per average single family. Did I do that right? That's what I was trying to figure out. I was
Like,
just doing
I
that.
think around 8. Yeah. Yeah. Because it would be
It would
12.03,
be
go to
2 cents
12.05,
more.
and then 4 quarters.
Times. I did 550 because I did it on a $550,000 house.
Is it 10 cents or $10?
It would be 1,000 times.
Like $10, but it's an
11,
inconsequential
11.
amount of
It
money.
would be 11.
$11.
And now you have me. Yes, $11.
$11.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we know what it would be this year? We don't have enough numbers for that yet.
I don't, we're in the middle of, they haven't, the exemption date hasn't even happened yet. April 1st
Okay.
is the exemption date.
So around $100,000, probably a little bit more with increased assessments.
Was it the year before I had those figures too? Now I can't remember because I overwrote them. But
99.1.
99.1 now, but for the year before that it was, I think it was 138 9 vets, and now there's 158, so that's 11 extra veterans.
Okay.
So it's like somewhere in the 80s.
Okay. Yeah, because this would be a permanent kind of increase or decrease to our tax base if we adopt it, right?
Yep.
So there's just something to take into consideration.
We went from 139 to 158 in a year.
And it also comes out of what we call the overlay, which we use for abatements and exemptions.
So when you say that, no, we talked about that. Overlay is to account for those abatements and exemptions. So that's a natural part of money that you have to put as part of the budgeting process.
Mhm.
So, if you do this, you'll have to put an additional approximately 100,000 or so into that. So 100,000 gets removed from the budget to do that.
Then you can go
I was
up
gonna
to
ask, we don't know
100%.
how many qualify for the senior exemption as well too, right? We'd have to.
If you were looking at the senior exemption as well.
The senior
I mean, of the
exemption,
158.
Oh, how many people qualify for both?
Yes.
Question.
how many people qualify? They can't get both.
But
Right, but
we-
how many
we would
would
steer them to getting one or the other, I'd imagine.
It would steer them towards the senior one, I would imagine.
Because it's
fully
reimbursable.
Reimbursable, right, to the town.
Say that one more time.
If there were 158 veterans and however many percent of that qualified for the senior
They
exemption.
can't qualify for both. They only get one exemption per person.
Right, but I'm saying we would push them towards the senior one because that's 100% reimbursable, correct?
No. You couldn't push someone to what do you mean, have a veteran file for a senior?
Right.
If they're senior.
I mean,
They
if
have
they
to be a
qualify,
senior, number one, and they would get less money.
they would.
Mm-hmm. On some exemptions and not on others, because senior exemption's 500, vets are anywhere from 400 to full.
Mhm.
So,
And very few qualify for the senior one,
so
regardless.
they're gonna take whatever the most is. So
Yeah.
say okay, so I think right now there are 2 seniors, I think one person, maybe one senior right now that is blind. And he goes for the 500 instead of the 400, but I don't know of any seniors that are also vets that would go for it. 'Cause-
Yes, I guess the question is that there aren't any senior veterans that would opt for another exemption. They would all opt for this exemption because it's the better one.
Mhm.
Okay.
More money.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the exemption can go up to 100%.
Yeah, so, looking at our budget, we're obviously in the preliminary in a deficit. So this is something we would have to work in additionally, right?
Correct.
Okay. So obviously, as much as I want to propose 100%, that's going to create, if we're using $100,000, an additional $100,000 that we're going to have to make up somewhere to balance the budget if the council were to approve that.
Yes.
Okay.
I wrote down all the figures if you want to take a quick look at them.
Yeah.
From 10% on to 100.
I think we would agree here, but I don't think we leave this discussion without saying we'll get to 100, if not this year, at some point in the near future.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I think that we look at this discussion tonight and then we propose to the council and the council will fully deliberate is how fast can we get to 100? Maybe it's not this year, but maybe it's tiered out into 2 to 4 years.
Similar to what you had mentioned with West Bridgewater.
Yeah. And if it were up to me, I think that this should be a foundational piece of the budget. I think this should be worked in first. If you were doing a zero-based budgeting, it's like, let's take care of the veterans first. But the reality of where we're at right now is we just listened to our incredible teachers and students here, and we're not working with enough money.
Yeah.
And we need to figure out what's going to be best for everybody. But I fully stand by this exemption because I know that even though we're going to reduce money off of the tax levy, those dollars are going to be redistributed in our community because our veterans do, buy and live and consume within our community. So, do you have any ideas as to how we want to tier this up? Do we go for, West Bridgewater went for 25% over 4 years. Do we propose starting at 50 and going over 2 years? Do you have any personal opinions as to where you want to start with that?
The 50 is 49,000.
Yeah, $49,000. Me personally, I'd like, I propose this at 100. I'd like to see us start at 50 and get this ramped up in 2 years if possible. Obviously, the rest of the council is the way out on that. But that's where I would like to start the conversation. I know that if we go in at 100, it's probably too big of a gap to close. I don't know if our town manager has any opinions. Obviously, he's trying to close a gap and we're making his gap bigger. But I'm sure you would want to do everything you can for our veterans. But the bigger number that we choose, the harder job that you're going to have of closing that gap.
Ultimately, the council and the committee will have. Yeah. You're obviously having an effect of approximately $100,000 getting reduced from the budget, so you're gonna have to make that up. And obviously, we heard from the schools, and you know generally where our preliminary budget deficit is at. So it's a difficult decision, but obviously, I do think we all support our veterans, and the council's heard that is intimated that they want to see this exemption move forward. So
Make a decision and I'll navigate it.
Yeah.
In collaboration with you.
Yeah, we'll see what you come up with in the council, obviously. Do our best to listen to our community and see where the priorities lie. We have to listen to our constituents and see, as a community, where do we want to invest it in? And I'm hearing that we absolutely want to invest in our veterans and obviously our schools, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So that being said, sounds like we're both kind of hovering around 50 right now. I don't want to see it go out to 4 years. I think it's too long. So I would make a motion to recommend back to the council for 50% of the exemption with the goal of fully funding in 2 years.
Yeah, I think we explained it. I think the good part is it goes to the council and there'll be a bigger discussion on that. And I'm supporting.
Cool. Motion made.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Okay.
No lunch for you kids, so it's
$1,000 price for it.
It's always MROs.
This would be fiscal year 27.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure all the language is changed because I still see it at some.
Thank you. We have to bring it back to the council and amend it, and hopefully we'll get that in the next budget. It has to pass by July 1st, right?
We have 30 days. So it has to
Thank you,
be
guys. Thanks for coming.
30 days from.
So June.
How many days in June?
June's got 30 days. yeah.
June 30,
We'll
yeah.
get it done. We'll get it done in May.
Get done.
We have it on that agenda.
Thank you, Sean.
Did you pass the 22I also?
Yes, I think so. Or did it go to advertising?
Went to advertising, I believe.
Advertising. That will pass. That's a small amount. That's just a COLA. So that will definitely pass.
Okay, thank you.
I'll be quick on this. This is a grant that we applied for in terms of Old State Farm Trail. It's
Before you go into that real quick, is it strategic that we don't put for the council before the budget comes? And then perhaps try to build it in?
It's probably a question for Justin.
What is it? You made me now question.
I'm saying if we hold off on doing this,
Yeah.
right? And we build it into the budget, I'd like to see sort of where it comes from and how we play it out. And you suggested put it in as a line item almost, right? It's kind of what you were saying, or you'd like to
It
see
wouldn't be
build
a
it in
line
the
item,
budget,
though. It was just, if we were changing the over.
right? But
Yeah,
we'll
we
have to
just
figure out where it's
figure
coming
where it's
from.
gonna come from. Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. So I think, like in the grand scheme of things, as it pertains to the bigger budget, it'd be nice to see where that comes from, and then be able to have that conversation with an educated. Here's the big picture, and here's how this is going to affect.
You're gonna see that either way, though, I think, because your next meeting's April 7th.
Yeah, which is where he's gonna propose the budget.
Town manager's gonna propose a budget.
So I'd imagine you would prefer to propose us a budget that has us included at a certain percent.
If I know that's what the intent is, I think it's better for the council overall that you give me that indication and I can put that in there. And if you decide to not go in that direction, then you can redistribute those funds in another manner or whatever decision you make.
Right.
But I think strategically, it make more sense for me to incorporate in the budget.
Okay.
For you guys.
And with our recommendation, we should send it back to finance committee for their input too.
We'd have to check to see if they already weighed in on
They
that.
did.
But not weighing in on our 50% recommendation, which I
True.
think is important.
That's true.
So that's what we're suggesting. I think we.
As long as it can be turned around quickly, that we could pass it in time to that it becomes effective.
Right.
Yeah.
We have some time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. That.
So I don't know if we have to motion that. I guess we should send it back to finance committee. We'll just share it with them. I think we need to make an official motion. All right.
Because when it goes to the council, you're gonna kick it.
It's going to take that
It's
extra
gonna
like
take-
2
it's
weeks.
gonna kick it back, yeah.
Well, we can kick it to them now. Finance committee. Why wait till it goes to the council?
Can the finance
That's
committee,
the-
can the budget finance,
What's the finance committee, the town council?
town council has to refer back? We could talk. Maybe there's a discussion item and then there's a formal position that the finance committee takes via memo as opposed to a formal vote. We have to make sure that's not illegal.
You're gonna get some balking on that, but
All right. Our intent is to get it to the finance committee.
Yeah.
So we'll figure out how we can do that quickly.
Yeah, as long as we don't miss the the train here, because last year we did, so I don't want to do that here. So we want their input, but we don't want to miss the deadline. Cool. So sorry, we were doing the
Okay.
old farm.
oh, yeah, no, it's just a grant. It's a $10,000 grant to help us try to develop these trails.
My office has worked collaboratively with Kitty Doherty on this project, and so we're happy to get another grant and hopefully move forward with this project.
Great. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
2-0.
This next item, Carlton obviously gave you a comment about, I think you guys have seen this a couple of times. So it's in relation to the freeze and the additional cost. But there is also a storyboard component. I don't know if you want to hear from Carlton regarding that, but that's the other ancillary costs associated with it.
I don't know what was explained to me, but
It was explained to me and I watched the meeting, so it makes sense. Obviously, we would prefer that we didn't have to do it backwards, but here we are. And I hope that people understand that we're doing it this way. And that's not usually a precedent that we have, but
It's making sure that there isn't any town general fund operating budget funds using it. It's replenishing that general fund difference that we had to pay. So
Yep.
it's a good thing for our budget overall.
okay, I'll make the motion.
yeah, I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 2-0. All right, moving on to discussion A, school budget review.
Did they want to come back in or are they gone? But you guys are still here. Did
I think most of them left.
Okay, great. Awesome. Your chair, I'll let you start.
Well, you had asked to be on the agenda.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, so I thought that Mary was going to be here too, but obviously you and I could have our discussions. I just wanted to have this as an opportunity for us to see what we had kind of observed in the report that came back, so that we could kind of go into tomorrow night with already sharing some of our views. I thought the review, personally speaking for myself, was very extensive, and I think that it highlighted some potentials for efficiency improvements, but it also showed that there isn't anything egregious going on, which is really going to be really helpful for the district if we need to go forward and advocate for additional funding for the district. So the way that I see it, there may be around $500,000 to $1 million a year in efficiency improvements, but those are going to be some questions I have for the folks from CLA tomorrow. A lot of it's going to be in regard to transportation efficiencies and things like that. But overall, I think it was very, very thorough. And yeah, what I'd like to hear from those folks is, what can we do now? Because when we look at budgets, it's having enough money is going to solve a lot of problems. But what can we do with the amount of money that we have now? Ensure our taxpayers that we're looking through everything with a fine-tooth comb, so that they have confidence in us that if we're asking for more dollars, that we really need those dollars and we've done our homework. So I think this is the first step to having that conversation.
I'm going to strongly disagree. As I did.
Oh yeah.
When we voted on it, so that's not going to change for me. I read through the 98 pages or whatever it was, and I feel the same way I did when I voted against it, is I don't think we got anything that we didn't already know. And I think it's unfortunate that we spent 70 grand on that. We were just talking about 49 grand for our veterans for 50% of their taxes. It seems like there's so much better use of funding. And the one thing I want to acknowledge too is I was never a skeptic about the needs of the schools. And I was a big supporter, and I will still stand by this, of last year's override. So for me, I felt like I educated myself enough to know where the deficiencies were. I don't think, again, anything in that report was surprising to me or unusual. I think transportation costs, the numbers that they regurgitate at the end were numbers that we've already seen a million times. And so I struggle with that. But the one thing I will say is now we have a document that also supports the narrative that I've been saying for a long time. So for those that don't believe it or didn't believe it before, it cost the town $70,000 to convince you. So sort of how I feel about it, but I'm not sure we'll ever agree on that purpose.
No,
But
I think that it's a win-win. Doing this, I think personally, and we'll disagree, and that's cool. I think that it was worth suspending the money to see, where everything's at. 10 minutes. Oh, thank you. To see where we're at. If we found areas to improve, we implement those improvements and we move forward. If things are going really well, then that's a conversation and a narrative that we can educate the public on and show them, hey, listen, we brought in a third party. There's not a lot of trust in government generally right now. We hired experts. They came in and they showed you clearly in very detailed fashion that the district does need, more money. So I think that it is a win-win. So I think there's, some opportunities to improve, but they're not glaring, they're not huge. And what I really liked was the projections and the forecasting at the end of that report. I think that's going to help all of us as we kind of navigate where things are going. And it was very, very conservative. It was a 3% increase. I know right now, I think it's 5% over last year. So we're a little bit over what they projected, but some of those costs are unavoidable. So I think we need to take a look at those projections and then mirror them with reality and see where we're actually going to be at. So, I think it was worth it, but we'll disagree. That's cool.
One thing I do want to say about the school budget as a whole, because I know that I saw the school committee meeting that happened last week. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding in terms of like how the process works. And I think our town manager has been more involved this year than past town managers have been in terms of giving the school committee or some members of the school committee a feel towards sort of quote unquote, I guess what you say the town could afford, to continue on a pace where we're not almost devastated, right? For lack of a better term. I will say that I think that process really lies with the school committee, right? To make that decision and then pass it to the town council, who's ultimately going to have to support whatever budget's put before us. So I think we should be mentally prepared or actually prepared to address that.
Mhm.
So I think, you've had conversations with what you think is comfortable for the town, but I think we should definitely be aware of it. It may come to a lot more than that,
Mhm.
pending the decision of the school committee.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be caught by surprise of that. And so I'd like to see if we could prepare ourselves for a budget that fits what was proposed by the superintendent. Just to be ready to go.
Okay.
That's my
Yeah.
story.
What I will say, because we have obviously some school committee members, I've been very transparent about our process. I try to be collaborative as possible, obviously speak with Superintendent Powers as much as possible. So we'll continue to do that. If that's the will of the council. I mean, obviously, just naturally speaking, this is the reality of the situation. Whatever figure we come with, using the preliminary budget we have, there's a significant deficit that we'll have to balance. And what we've heard from our community budget sessions is people want to fund public safety and they want to fund education. I've heard that from our counselors individually. I'm going to try to do that as best as possible, but also there's going to have to be, budget reductions on the town end of things. So I'll present that transparently. The council will take a look at that. And if there's adjustments that they want to make, then I'm going to allow you guys to do that process.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then we can outline, what are those other decisions that we'll have to make, obviously.
Right.
So if you're saying, we want to add $2 million, like, all right, if you're going to add that $2 million in budget reductions on the town side, this is what that looks like. We'll be prepared, right? If that's something you want to see.
Okay. I appreciate the conversations that have been had amongst you and Ryan and the town administrator and Renum, but I just want to remind folks that the decision lies with the school committee and the town council and select board, right? So
Yeah.
ultimately that decision is going to come to us, but I don't want it to be a surprise when it does either. Okay. I don't have anything else.
Yeah, obviously we'll all meet tomorrow night. Our finance committee will be there tomorrow night, which will be great to have them present and their participation. So I look forward to continuing the conversation tomorrow.
All right, I'll move to F, public comment. I know we're right up against it with the town council meeting, so, but I do want to make sure we have 6 minutes. So I just want
I'm
to
good at sound bites, being working in media before. I just want to request of the Budget and Finance Committee and ultimately the full council to ask the school committee and the superintendent to give us more than 14 pages of a line item budget with no grid lines, with no summaries, with expenses. It's very hard to read and communicate with constituents. I have tried to do this for the last 2 years. Now I'm into the third year. You get a page, 14 pages, and there's no subtotals and no summaries and no nothing. It doesn't work for me as a counselor. The PowerPoint presentation is fine, but that presentation to me, having served on a school committee for 11 years in a regional school district, makes no sense. So I'm just going to put it on the record publicly.
Any other comments? We'll go to G, adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, I guess my